an entire season. Everything that these teams have worked for over the past 6 weeks can be determined over the next 3 days. Not every team is going to make it. Some are going to be left home completely heartbroken. They will not make it to land. But the teams that do, we're going to know their faces by Sunday. My name is Rich. I'm going to be your host throughout the entire weekend. I'm joined by Zico, Supatees, and Van Ruki. We're going to be covering all of the action. I couldn't be more ready. Europe, first on the chopping block. Zico, what teams do we need to be paying attention to?
Right now, it's a three-horse race between Plot Twist, and we got the ABC, of course, beating out the Pumpers. Actually, it's a two-horse race because we had the Pumpers as well, but they did lose earlier on. So it's mainly between ABC and Plot Twist trying to battle it out for that final spot, and we could even have a tiebreaker situation going on between those two teams if the chips fall in the right places.
Yeah, the only race course that the Pumpers are going to be running around is the race course of defeat. Those horses not going to be in this race as we take a look at the teams from EU. And the Pumpers did have that number 4 spot headed into this cup, but as Zico mentioned, they are not going to be on this bracket. Method Black, Wildcard Gaming, and Change My Mind, these are the teams that have already qualified. And Sid, as we can see, some of them are going to be going head-to-head very early in our tournament.
Yeah, our first match of the day is Method Black going up against Change My Mind. Now, Change My Mind have been consistent in their placings throughout this entire season, but they've been unable to kind of overthrow Wildcard Gaming and Method Black's top 2 position. Today is their last chance before land to show that they've got it.
Yeah, it's a very important thing when we think about that head-to-head record between these two teams. Van Ruki, you know I'm not good with math. Refresh my mind, when these teams have gone head-to-head, what has the record been so far?
Well, like we kind of talked about, it hasn't been great in favor of Change My Mind. Currently 0-12 against Method Black, but these guys are a great team. The one criticism we really had from them is they've been only focusing on 2 main compositions, the Rogue Mage Druid and the Shadow Priest Mage Druid. And those 2 compositions just don't seem to be good into what Method Black has available, so potentially in this tournament they may have found a different answer.
Yeah, certainly strong brand. Zico, do you think that they can diversify that, branch out a little bit, and kind of update the look of this team?
Well, they're going to have some time to do it. I don't think we're going to see it now at this final cup here, but I do think that they have some time now between this cup and the spring finals, of course, to branch out and maybe add a different composition to their roster, maybe a couple of new specs. And also, Shadow Priest did get a bit of a buff in the earlier changes, so maybe the Shadow Priest Mage Druid is a little bit better for them as well.
Yeah, I think Valet is going to be one of those characters that we really do have, one of those players that we're going to have to be looking at on Change My Mind. He can be that X factor in this cup in particular, but I think one of the most important things when we look at this squad, before we even do talk about Method Black, Sid, is the fact that they have done most of the work that they've needed to so far to really be confident headed into land. The question is, can they bring it up to the next level once they actually do arrive?
I mean, they're definitely looking like a solid team, and they're all coming from different teams in the past. Finally, a roster where Valet has been enabled on. Even though they're not taking out Method Black or taking out Wildcard Gaming, they're trouncing everybody else. So being top 3 in Europe is still impressive, to say the least, but now they need to figure out how to overcome the last hurdle if they want to find victory at the spring finals later this year, or maybe even show what they've got here in the final cup of today.
Yeah, I think the question with Change My Mind, it's pretty clear so far where they rank in Europe. Where do they rank in the entire world? That's one of the things that will be so exciting when we do get to that land. Instantly, everybody is going to be going head-to-head, and we can have that first take on the year of where all of our teams do stand globally. Method Black, though, they seem like they are going to be a wrecking ball regardless of what regions they are going into. You're going to see such an impressive win rate across the board from them, and as much as I think you look at Wildcard Gaming and say they're the team that's picked up the most momentum. Method Black has also picked up momentum. Maybe their velocity hasn't been as insane as what we've seen from Wildcard Gaming, but this is a team that has sped up and now on a collision course with Change My Mind. 2 teams that you're going to need to be thinking out throughout the year, throughout land. You can vote right now in the chat with hashtag MB or hashtag CM. Change My Mind needs to take this down. Otherwise, throughout the entire season, they are going to be 0-15. Can they take a map off of Method Black? Currently 0-12 against this squad. Method Black going to break out Raikou and Swapsy, and we're going to see what we expected from Change My Mind.
Yeah, this is a matchup we've seen time and time again from Change My Mind and Method Black. And like we kind of talked about, in the past, Change My Mind has not done well. Method Black kind of has their number with this Demon Hunter Death Knight composition. We'll have to see what Change My Mind can get done.
Method Black currently going after Minpoike, showing that they are unafraid in game number 1, really putting the pressure on as Minpoike attempts to escape. Fried Kitty backing him up with a Frost Nova and now able to recover. Acro looks like he wants to get aggressive as well and go after Chaz. This could end up being a healer race. Chaz getting into bear form right before the stun. Raikou lands a triple. Great crowd control. Change My Mind actually opt to use their Gladiator's Medallion to try and all in on Chaz, but get denied by Swapsy's anti-magic zone. Change My Mind are playing this matchup a lot more aggressively, which still probably doesn't play into the favor of their composition, but what else can they really do? They're going to blind Chaz. They're trying to bait his Gladiator's Medallion. Now they've got an opening in 30 seconds to make a swap onto Chaz. Can they make it is now the question. They need to make sure that they crowd control Raikou and deny his darkness when they do so. They've got Icy Veins. They could make a big push. There's a big opportunity for Change My Mind in just a few seconds to get a kill.
Yeah, Raikou, he's playing Relentless, so if they get the crowd control, there's no way for him to break out of that, opting not to play the Gladiator's Medallion. If they crowd control, they can deny the darkness, and that's the opening that they need, but there's a 10-second window right now where Chaz doesn't have the bar skin. He's just making it so difficult. You can see Chaz's position. He's just behind the pillar, out of line of sight, never poking out unless he's in bear form, and that makes it difficult for Change My Mind to find these swap opportunities onto him throughout the game. Yep,
they're finally putting some pressure on Swapsy. So this is to bait Chaz to come out of bear form and start healing him, but I don't think they're going to get it. They do. They find him out of form, but Barkskin now available. Fried Kitty peeled away. Perfect Chaos Nova. Decent pressure on the 2 members, though, from Change My Mind, showing signs of life. They go for a Maledict play onto Chaz. Can they find a kill? They really need to pull it off in this next couple of seconds. They're going to fall behind. They do still have pressure onto 2 points of the team of Method Black. I'm curious to see what Minpoike's mana situation is. Not too good comparatively to Chaz, but at least they've got pressure.
Yeah, definitely. Kidney shot now on Chaz. What are they going to be able to get done? Fried Kitty, unfortunately, not able to find too much damage. Acro is just going to be turning his attention onto Swapsy, trying to find pressure in multiple points, but at this point in the game, Change My Mind, Minpoike is almost completely out of mana, only has a little bit left. There's been great pressure here for Raikou and Swapsy, and this is what we've seen in this matchup. It's just so difficult for Change My Mind to push through the defensive cooldowns and defensive healing that Method Black has available with this composition. I just don't know where the opening really is. Chaz with no trinket, no bar skin, a little bit vulnerable, but Swapsy and Raikou, they have those very powerful defensives with the anti-magic zone and the darkness to keep them alive.
Well, Change My Mind have focused exclusively on this rogue mage druid. I would say they're a top caliber at it, but in the current meta, this Demon Hunter Death Knight composition is more or less one of the most difficult compositions they could ever face. I do appreciate that they are trying different styles. So in this match, we're seeing a much more aggressive all-in attempt onto Chaz, which is definitely a possible win condition, but it also means the game can end sooner for them as well, as they aren't able to avoid mana rifts, and all 3 members will take a lot of damage from the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter. Currently in this position, with Minpoike having 0 mana left, Chaz with so much defense available on his team, it would be a bit of a throw for Method Black to go down. Minpoike is going to struggle just to keep his team alive.
Yeah, definitely. Acro routing down Fried Kitty as well, and this is the point of the match where we see things fall apart very quickly for Change My Mind. You'll see multiple ice blocks be pulled out in succession, and Minpoike has to do a good job healing. No Innervate available for quite some time. Another attempt here onto Chaz. He is going to get out of the stun, and he should be completely fine off the back of that anti-magic zone. A good backup there from Swapsy to keep him alive. Acro still trying to find some pressure onto Swapsy. Fried Kitty just trying to deny as much damage as possible, potentially buy some time for Minpoike to sneak away, but he knows there's really not much of an opportunity. Raiku's been doing such a good job making sure he stays on Minpoike consistently in the match that Minpoike hasn't even bothered to try to escape and reset his mana.
No, it just appears that Change My Mind want to kill Chaz at any cost in game number 1. A risky decision, but at this point, with this composition they're running, what else have they not even tried to do? Minpoike's totally tapped. Swapsy's gunning down for the kill. Minpoike on the run. How much longer can he keep it up? Absolutely 0 mana left in the tank, but Chaz finally being pressured. Whoa. Is this the throwaway? Darkness at very low help, and Minpoike looks to fall first. Close call for Chaz. Change My Mind have pressure in game number 1, but still not able to take a game off Method Black.
Ooh, yeah, but they have a solid swing. at the very end there, the question is, what does the series look like so far when these teams have gone head-to-head? Every single series that we've seen, let's look at it as one giant series, basically, because I feel like the story has been pretty consistent through every single game where we've seen these teams go head-to-head. We look at the composition that we see them playing right now. They play it to the top caliber, change my mind. They make an attempt when they look like they shouldn't be able to, but at the end of the day, it looks somewhat futile.
Well, even there in the end, it looks close, right? But they still had the darkness to fall back on. After that, Chaz was going to have his bark skin, and that's what Method Black does. They play, I mean, we can look at it right here. Chaz has no trinket, he has no bark skin, and they know that, okay, at this point, we've won the game, basically. Chaz, Raikou still has his darkness available here, so Raikou's going to be able to back up Chaz. Nice polymorph there onto Raikou, and that's what makes Chaz actually take so much damage here, is the fact that Raikou's cross crowd control. So they are playing it well, but then again, Raikou can just easily go in here, drop that darkness. Chaz is not going to be in any trouble. Chaz is going to have his trinket as well for the next attempt, as well as his bark skin, and then Swapsy has a minute left on his anti-magic zone, and that's the problem when you go after that healer. There is so much defense. You're not only having to go through the bark skin and the iron bark and the trinket of Chaz, but you also have Swapsy backing him up with the anti-magic zone. You also have Raikou backing him up with the darkness, and as long as you rotate between those, you're not actually going to grab a kill just by killing Chaz. You need to do a swap to somebody else and force an overlap with those defensives, and that's what's really hard to do nowadays as that rogue mage. So they play it well, but again, we've seen all of their different strategies kind of played out at this point, and when you look at it like mathematically, when you look at it cooldown by cooldown, they're not that close.
It's Friday. We're not doing math. But is it Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I panicked for a second. I was almost like, that's like the most embarrassing. Okay, the question is, Valet. Do we see Valet? And then I actually want to talk about some of the reasons why maybe we're putting a little bit more weight on that decision to potentially bring the Shadow Priest. Nice large map going to be coming out here. Change my mind. Throwing the curveball nice and early with a Mugambala. It's like a cup of coffee on a Friday morning. Now, Ven, do you think Valet is going to be employed here?
Well, I'm not sure, because in my mind, change my mind, they knew for sure exactly what Method Black was going to be running. It's no surprise Method Black has been running the Demon Hunter Death Knight, beating them over and over. So in the blind pick, it's very likely we see Method Black with that Demon Hunter Death Knight, and that's exactly what we did see. So for change my mind, I have to imagine they would have put their best foot forward. It's not like they don't know how these matchups played out. So I have to assume that they think the Rogue Mage Druid is their best bet. Maybe on a bigger map like Mugambala, they can implement Valet, bring in the Shadow Priest. We know with some of the changes that we saw, some of those utility spells like Dispel Magic on the Shadow Priest, their mana cost was lowered, and that allows them to get a lot of offensive dispels against a class like a Restoration Druid, which can put them ahead, and that might be something we see, and maybe that could turn the fight in their favor.
That's an important thing to bring up, and that was kind of the next thing I really wanted to throw over to Sid, is when we do look at this tournament and we stack it up to the other tournaments that we've seen, what are the big changes coming out of the last cup that we need to be paying attention to as we watch?
There were significant mana reductions in the cost of a lot of utility spells, so in particular, how does that benefit change my mind? Well, with the Shadow Priest, he brings in a Dispel mechanic, which is super effective at removing heal over time effects, which the Restoration Druid brings to the combat. Having reduced the mana cost on that, the Shadow Priest then can remove a lot more heal over time effects than in the past, and that's why we may see him utilized here on Mugambala on the larger map. However, we have seen this played out in the past. Now we get to see it played out after the utility changes to see if anything gets mixed up. I'm starting to feel like it's not. I mean, they had decent pressure on Chaz, but like Zeke already pointed out, it's just a checklist of cooldowns that basically Method Black would have to make a blunder on, blow two of them at the same time, and then maybe there's an opening for Change My Mind. Potentially, they can get some clutch crowd control, which is what they really need to rely on. If they can remove Raikou right as they go after Chaz, deny the darkness, maybe with a Frost Nova or a Polymorph, that is one way they can find victory, but it's just so difficult.
You know, I believe in a lot of things. Love. Miracles.
Taxes.
That's a little bit too close to home right now, but change my mind when we look at them. The question is, do we believe that they can pull off that miracle? Is Mugambala going to be the place where they can finally take a map off of Method Black? I think we put a lot of pressure on Valet here. I think he's one of the best Shadow Priests in the world. I don't think there's any question about that. Are these changes going to be enough to make a composition that maybe isn't favored here when Method Black is just destroying the meta? I feel like Method Black is one of those teams that it doesn't matter how you get 6 weeks into a tournament, they've figured it out. They usually are the team that is able to learn with a patch. They've had enough time on this one as well. The changes were big, but they didn't necessarily affect Method Black as much as they probably affected some of the other teams. It did seem to be more of an area where, yeah, Warlocks, maybe we're going to see some Warlock comps get played a little bit less into certain compositions, but the meta didn't get, I feel like there hasn't been a full fulcrum shift in the meta. We're not moving away from any comps in particular, Zico.
No, I think that, like you already mentioned, the Warlocks did take a little bit of a reduction with their armor, but I think Destro Warlocks are still going to be played, and I think they're still going to be very good. And, of course, the melee cleaves, they're going to have an even better time now. Windwalker DK is pretty much unscathed with those changes, so Windwalker DK definitely going to be just really, really strong, and we've been seeing a lot of Windwalker DK, a lot of DK Demon Hunter, and I don't think that's going to change very much. I think we're still going to be seeing those classes played, and the teams that have been running those compositions, teams like Wildcard Gaming, teams like Method Black, they're going to have a great time in this patch, because now, in addition to having their compositions basically just still intact and some of the other stuff nerfed, which, you know, indirectly benefits them, they're also going to have their healer being able to play a little bit more aggressive throughout, you know, things like the Cyclone. Before, maybe you were a bit reluctant to throwing out those Cyclones because you wanted to conserve your mana. Now you can actually go for those plays, so that's going to be very nice for them. And of course, the Shadow Priest, that's the big question mark, because the Dispel is a really nice change for Shadow Priest. We're going to probably see Valet being able to dish out tons and tons of Dispels, which is going to reduce a lot of those heals from Chaz, but is it going to be enough to swing the tide in Change My Mind's favor? Maybe. Mugambala, certainly the place where dreams could happen, so we'll have to see.
All right, will it be enough? Will these changes give Change My Mind what they need to break the curse? They have taken down so many squads throughout this season, but Method Black, it's been their kryptonite. Currently 0-13 in map count against this squad. Method Black looking to make that 0-14 right here and put themselves on match point.
All right, Minpoike already getting charged down into a Mana Rift combination. Method Black's composition really focuses at attacking the mana bar of the enemy healer and then denying them from drinking. However, Change My Mind going after the enemy healer Chaz, and I think that is the only player of the team, at least before deeper stages of dampening, that can ultimately go down. They have managed to pull a large arsenal of defensive cooldowns from Method Black initially in their first attack. However, it was at the back of the Icy Veins, the most powerful Frost Mage offensive cooldown. So now Chaz is going to be feeling a lot more safe and comfortable moving forward. I'm curious to see how Minpoike escapes and finds drinks, because if he's not able to, Raikou will outdo his mana with that Mana Rift.
Yeah, definitely. Valet, we've already seen him use that Leap of Faith. Basically, as a Shadow Priest, you have Leap of Faith, and you can grip one of your teammates towards you. And he's been using that on Minpoike so far to avoid some of those incoming mana rifts, and that's going to extend Minpoike's mana even more compared to the Rogue Mage Druid setup we saw earlier. So they can implement that, and we see Minpoike sneak away and actually get some mana regenerated back. Things could be looking good for Change My Mind, but you can see Chaz, he's already looking to escape. He's already looking to regenerate his mana. Unfortunately for him, Minpoike actually chases him down and denies his drink, and right now, Change My Mind have the mana lead.
Yeah, definitely a mana lead. I'm curious how many Dispels Valet is actually getting off here, because that could be a way to expend Chaz's mana, as the Dispel costs significantly less than the Rejuvenations of Chaz, so that could be a way for Change My Mind to actually win on mana in this particular matchup, potentially break their curse against Method Black and put a point on the board. Minpoike, though, is getting pressured as Method Black got him down. Wild Charge up to safety. Good positioning from Valet. Nice teamwork by the team of Change My Mind to allow Minpoike to escape.
Yeah, Chaz in stealth. What is he going to do? Looks like he can't afford to sneak away just yet. Needs to keep the heals up on a Raikou and a Swapsy. But Chaz, if he can escape, the thing that is really difficult for Method Black in this situation is Change My Mind. They have so many offensive dispels. If Fried Kitty's playing the Kleptomania, that's going to empower his spell steal, allow him to remove every single heal over time effect, and then Valet can kind of trade globals with Chaz. If he puts up a Rejuvenation, it's going to get dispelled. And that way, Chaz falls behind very quickly, and you can see him have to use a lot of mana in order to keep his team alive. If you look at the mana bar right now, Change My Mind, Method Black, they're both relatively even. And Poike once again into the Fell Eruption, into the Mana Rift, gets Vortex back there by Chaz. Nice play there by Method Black, making sure Poike is eating as many of those Mana Rifts as possible.
I think in this match it's going to come down to drink denial, and Method Black have a much easier time of denying Minpoike. Valet's trying to stop Chaz. Manages to get in line of sight, deny the drink, keep the mana game at least even. This has been the most pressure we've seen and the most even match we've seen between Change My Mind and Method Black. If there was going to be a game that Change My Mind can take, I feel like this is going to be it. Can they keep it up a bit longer? Good crowd control setup on Raikou, gets bursted down. Whoa. They continue the chain, potentially forcing even more defensive cooldowns. Change My Mind showing signs of life. They get a full polymorph. Now the Gliders Medallion has to remove that. Chaz commits even further cooldowns to stay in the fight. Raikou falls behind. Huge swing for Change My Mind. Mana still in their favor. It's looking good.
Yeah, these offensive dispels from Valet really putting Chaz behind, especially when he looks to sneak away for those drinks. Then Poike getting low in the meantime. Uses the Iron Bark, but Raikou and Swapsy still all over him. Fell Eruption, how much damage do they have available? And Poike is able to survive. Tries to leap away, gets gripped back by Swapsy. In the meantime, Chaz sitting down for a drink. If he regenerates a lot of mana, this is going to be so bad for Change My Mind. I think he's getting a full reset, Sid. I
think most certainly he is, and that is now not looking too good for Change My Mind. Will Minpoike be able to escape? Well, it's going to be difficult with a Ghoul chasing him as well as Raikou hunting him down, constantly looking for mana rifts. It was looking so solid for Change My Mind. They had a huge opening, but now it has been lost. They were unable to deny the drink of Chaz, and the lead that they had built for themselves is basically entirely lost. Now we get into dampening. If Minpoike can somehow heal through this into deeper stages of dampening, Swapsy becomes more of a liability for the team of Method Black, and I could see Change My Mind taking him out with those offensive dispels on the heal over time effects. So everything rides on Minpoike, but this is going to be one of the most difficult matches to heal through with almost no mana remaining for him.
Yeah, Raikou, you can see he's caught into a Cyclone. Swapsy immediately turning his attention on him and Poike, but good backup. Fried Kitty sneaks a Polymorph on Swapsy. Poike tries to escape, and Chaz hunts him down. So all three members of Method Black, they have really good communication, making sure they're denying all the drink attempts Minpoike really has. But he sneaks away in stealth into sort of the starting area. Raikou's trying to get him, but Valet with good crowd control. Minpoike's actually sitting down. Might be able to regenerate a little bit of mana straight into a Fell Eruption, into a Mana Rift. Raikou denies. Chaz following it up with the Cyclone as well. Fried Kitty getting low. This could be a second Ice Block of the game. Good pressure here for Method Black, and now, Change My Mind, they're not in a great situation.
If Minpoike had been able to get mana back, that would have been a fair trade for an Ice Block, I believe, in this matchup. At least the mana is evened out. Suddenly, Chaz is having a very difficult time maintaining his mana. Dampening has just stepped in. They're bursting down Raikou. Fully channeled Ray of Frost no gets denied by Swapsy. Raikou holds on with Iron Bark. Mana completely even at this point with Dampening moving forward. Curious to see if Change My Mind changed targets in this match on game number 2. This is the most close fight we've seen between these teams. Currently 13-0 overall in the spring season in favor of Method Black's score, and Change My Mind look to break that slump.
Yeah, it's really important if they want to start building momentum moving forward into the spring finals. This is the series they definitely need to do it. Fried Kitty, though, with no Ice Block, is a very vulnerable target, and Swapsy's just been all over him in this matchup, denying a lot of his incoming damage and making sure he's pressured throughout this entire match. And Poike still trying to sneak away. Raikou chasing him down, hunting down that mana bar on the Restoration Druid. And Minpoike just can't escape the pressure, the onslaught from Raikou, constantly into the Fell Eruptions, into the Mana Rifts. You see right now Chaz trying to reposition and sneak away for a drink, and luckily for Change My Mind, Chaz's mana isn't doing great either. If they can somehow hold on, definitely still in this game at 10% dampening, it's not going to be easy for Chaz to keep his teammates alive, especially with those offensive dispels that we're kind of talking about coming in from Change My Mind.
Ooh, crowd control on Raikou, huge burst. Chaz gets cycloned. Great follow-up by Change My Mind. creating a bit of an opening here to get a kill on Raikou moving forward. But once again, everything rides on Minpoike. He's got 0 mana left. His mage has no ice blocks remaining. This is still going to be the most difficult recovery we've probably seen from him in a tournament this year, but potentially they can pull it off. They've managed to at least keep the mana even. They're showing signs of life with burst opportunities. Raikou running that Relentless could end up being a liability if he's caught in a bash later on and unable to remove it. If Change My Mind can dish out enough damage to find a kill. Fried Kitty gets bursted, and Poike desperately trying to deny the kill with Iron Bark activated. Appears to be enough to stabilize. Dampening ramping up. Chaz still trying to find a drink potentially. No, not even needing to look for one just yet. There's the bash. These are the crowd control effects that Change My Mind could find a kill, but not enough damage to back it up. At least they managed to bait Iron Bark. Minpoike's been getting a lot of Cyclones, which could be the X factor, but it's also costing him mana. Such a difficult decision for Change My Mind. Do they commit for the crowd control and try and find a kill, or do they just try and keep a little bit more mana left in the tank to keep the fight going on that bit longer? The decision is a hard one to make, but they have to do it if they want to pull off a victory here. Silence on Chaz. Raikou trades. Caught in that frozen orb, though. Trying to reconnect. Fried Kitty with no ice blocks, no mana remaining. Iron Bark, once again, the last line of defense, but even still, Belay has to Void Shift. They switch to Belay. He now has to disperse. Basically, all of the defensive cooldowns burned in one push. Minpoike wants to exchange those cooldowns for a drink. Chaz jumps in and denies him, and Belay is likely to fall here with no defense remaining. Crowd control gets denied. Raikou leads the charge. Belay holds on by a thread, catches a couple of Shadowmen's, doing everything in his power to keep this game going just that bit longer, but ultimately falls to the pressure of Method Black.
Well, Change My Mind has run through pretty much all the tools that they have in their toolbox. They pull out the hammer, they pull out the screwdriver. Neither of them are able to get the job done. Zico, do you think we see them throw a wrench at them? Or are they just going to go rely on some of the other tools that we have seen so far that haven't worked?
I feel like Method Black is kind of just... they're just like a sledgehammer at this point, and I don't think a wrench is gonna be enough to kind of change my mind here. So I'm not sure which tool is the appropriate one to use here. I'm not really a carpenter, Rich, but I think that this matchup did look a lot better in Change My Mind's favor. I mean, it still looked like, you know, an uphill battle for them. Don't get me wrong here, but I do think that Change My Mind, they had some opportunities here. There was a lot of moments where Chaz mana was looking bad. Raikou did take, you know, surprising amounts of damage, and I can't help but feel like the map was a bit of a backfire as well. I didn't like this map pick at all for what Change My Mind were doing. I would have much rather seen a Tolveron arena come out and then this same composition. In my mind, this looked way more winnable than the Rogue Mage game. The Rogue Mage game, it looked like they needed, you know, a lot more dampening to really get to a stage where they could force those overlaps to happen. Whereas in this game, it didn't look that bad. If they can just hold on to a point where they reach like 20 or 10, 15% dampening, they can actually force Raikou to run back due to the pressure. All of a sudden, that's when Minpoike really can find those drinks. So I'm going to see the same matchup on Tolveron Arena or Asherman's Fall, and potentially that could be how Change My Mind actually gets a point on the board there.
Yeah, Van, I could see that you definitely agreed with that. Maybe a larger map is going to be enough to get it done. We can see Valet definitely may breathe some life into this squad. Ooh, new toys. You can get them now. And not only are they sick, you can actually support the players that is going to be going towards the prize pool to both the AWC and the MDI. It's pretty awesome to actually see this. I know a lot of us wanted to see it for a long time, and now it's actually a reality. There's a link. I believe it's in the chat, or it's right below.
Yeah, it's on the Twitch page.
It's on the Twitch page. You can find it, and you can grab those toys right now if you want to help support everybody, and also if you just want to have some fun stuff to play around in the game. But when we look at the series that we're currently in, it's going to be Change My Mind, who needs some new toys, and by toys I mean compositions, because it looks like they are going to get completely
I was
run
actually
over by
wondering if
Method
they were going to try this. I was thinking the Shaman is a decent counter to the Mana Rift strategy, and the Shadow Priest Rogue with the Dispels and then the consistent damage from the Rogue might actually be enough. I'm actually very happy that they're trying this.
New toys. This is exactly what I think they did need. It's not the fact that they haven't played their compositions well, that we haven't seen them look strong on their classes individually, that we haven't seen team synergy. They just didn't have an answer to what Method Black has.
Well, we've always really wanted to see Valet pair up with a Rogue, and finally Valet and Acro are going to be using that Rogue Shadow Priest synergy to come forward with a really good composition. I especially think with some of the mana changes to the Shadow Priest and the fact that they can get out a lot more offensive dispels really pairs well with that Assassination Rogue. You're going to have a lot of consistent damage, and I think Chaz is going to struggle to keep his team alive.
Yeah, I think that this is all of a sudden something that, you know, maybe this breaks the 15-0, right? There's a scenario where we could have seen them go down 15-0 against Method Black throughout this year over the 6 weeks that we've seen them play. That's definitely going to be good for them if they can take a map, but do you think that they can get a reverse sweep by just sticking on this composition, especially when they go to some of the larger maps?
I think it's an uphill battle. I think for now we should just focus on this particular game.
one game at a time.
Let's do it one game at a time. Let's start by breaking up the curse and actually getting a point on the board, and then we can start talking about the reverse sweep.
Well,
this is actually something, though, that I spoke with Acro about after they lost 3-0, you know, in the previous cup, and I was wondering, why don't they try this? This Shadow Priest Rogue, it could be a good answer. It's basically like the Roguelog Druid, but, you know, with the Shadow Priest. So you have a little bit less of a punch, but more utility. And then Shadow Priest also got buffed, so I'm glad to see that they have decided to try it out. I think it could be an interesting experiment, to say the least. And also, depending on how this matchup goes, it will potentially tell us how the move might do in NA later.
That's true, and I also think for Change My Mind, if they win with this composition, they've finally found an answer for what Method Black is consistently beating them with. And I think that's going to make the series between these two teams much more interesting, because all of a sudden the blind pick is going to matter huge.
And also, it translates to land,
yep,
right? I think that's the main thing to look at. Even if they can't necessarily string together this entire series, if we do see them go head-to-head at land, all of a sudden Change My Mind has done just that, and they're going to look like a real competitor, because Method Black has been able to serve blow after blow against this team, and they are looking to wrap up the series right here and now on Hook Point.
Yeah, Change My Mind and bringing it to Hook Point, the smallest map in the pool, the most aggressive one as well. I'm curious to see what kind of swaps Change My Mind are looking to set up. Bouncing between Raikou and Chaz is likely to be their early game strategy, although Method Black have a simple plan of attack, gun down Valet, mana rift Minpoike as much as possible, but the Restoration Shaman can actually deal with the mana rift pretty effectively. Healing Wave is a low cost healing spell, and Shamans can keep healing even on very little mana for quite some time. Also bringing in the double dispel with a Shaman and a Shadow Priest could be very effective for Change My Mind's all-in attempt here shortly. Minpoike still getting stunned up. Acro exchanging Feint during that crowd control to reduce incoming damage, able to survive. Still no significant setup just yet from Change My Mind, focusing much more on dispelling heal over time effects. They land a double fear kidney shot on Chaz. This could be an effective strategy to net themselves a kill later on. Definitely look to see that crowd control initiated time and time again, but now that crowd control has faded, Valet will be on the back foot.
Yet the Demon Hunter of Raikou provides great backup for Chaz. Not only does he have that very powerful cooldown darkness, he also has a reverse magic. So Valet used his silence onto Chaz, and Raikou was able to use reverse magic to take the silence off of Chaz and put it onto Valet, and that makes it difficult for Valet to get off damage. So a lot of synergy with the composition Method Black has available, and so far, Changed My Mind, they've struggled to find pressure, and we kind of talked about the mana advantage maybe Minpoike could have on the Restoration Shaman, but he's already on 40% mana. We're just a few minutes into the game.
Yep, how much longer can Change My Mind keep it up here? Can they break the slump? Can they break the curse? They're trying to bait a trinket. They managed to get it from Chaz. Now they can make that swap, double Psychic Scream play later on, but Minpoike gets gripped into the fight. Triple stun for Raikou secured as they try to develop momentum. Fortunately for Minpoike, he had Earthen Wall Totem activated right before that incoming crowd control. It soaked up a ton of damage and allowed his team to recover. Curious to see if Minpoike just decides to go all in here. They're attacking Chaz. They got his Buyer's Medallion, which is the main objective of that last push. Now they're looking to get crowd control on both Raikou and Swapsy to deny their defense. No, instead actually continuing the attack on Raikou, trying to mix it up and catch Chaz off guard. Silence into stun. Valet in position for a Psychic Scream. Are they going to go for it? Doesn't look. They get the Psychic Scream. They dispel the heal over time effects. Raikou in a bit of trouble. Manages to duck around the corner. Reverse magic Chaz out of crowd control and recover. Bit of a close call, but Change My Mind are running on such a short candlestick. Minpoike is almost out of mana.
Yeah, definitely. With no mana left, it's going to be very difficult for Change My Mind, but there's been good pressure for them. I like the fact that they're going after Raikou early on, going after Chaz, really not be able to get too much done. But I think with the amount of single target damage the Shadow Priest and the Assassination Rogue have, this is a great opportunity for them. Raikou forced to trinket out of the smoke bomb attempt. Now double Chaos Nova lands from Raikou onto Valet and Acro. Raikou continuing the pressure onto the damage over the DPS of the team of Change My Mind. Meanwhile, Swapsy once again just running down Minpoike. Fell Eruption. He trinkets out. That's overlapped with the Leap of Faith, and that overlap is going to basically force Change My Mind to run out of mana much quicker.
Chaz pre-Iron Bark. This crowd control chain could have ended the game. They got Raikou's Gliders Medallion with the Smoke Bomb, and they were looking to set up for a kill right there, and Chaz predicted it, activated Iron Bark before it even happened, denied the kill, and now they have all of the momentum. 3 members of Change My Mind critically low on health. Minpoike with absolutely no mana left. Swapsy just running him down, Terminator style. Swapsy looking to solo Minpoike around the corner if he's not able to escape to safety. Acro gets bursted down by Raikou. 2 members low on health. Valet's only got 1 Void Shift. Who is he going to have to commit it to? They've managed to at least scramble back together and stay alive, but still with no mana left in the tank. Chaz as well, basically out of mana. Can Change My Mind pull it off, Ben?
Potentially, if they go after Minpoike, he's going to be able to keep himself alive. Ghost Wolf is a very powerful ability Minpoike has, especially if you use the right talents and Azurite traits. Gives him a lot of heal over time effects to keep himself alive. So I think going after Valet, going after Acro in this situation is probably the best thing that Method Black can do, because going after Minpoike provides him just too efficient of healing. Now Valet under pressure, but a nice attempt onto Raikou once again. No blur available. Iron Bark was used by Chaz, but still, these offensive dispels coming in from Valet. Very dangerous. Valet gets low, no dispersion. Has to trade out the Void Shift on him Minpoike. Imprisonment on Minpoike. Now Valet still in a lot of trouble.
Ooh, Chaz and a Psychic Scream, both teams at the end of their rope in this match, but Method Black has more defense available, and defense is going to be the name of their strategy. Chaz moves in, secures a bash. Acro trinkets out to try and keep up the attack onto Raikou. They've got such a limited window of time to find a kill. They're just not finding it now with the Abomination activated. Swapsy's looking to close. Valet gets crushed. Method Black 15-0 against Change My Mind.
Time is a flat circle. Everything we've ever done or will do, we're going to do over and over again. Change My Mind, just facing the cruel reality of fate. Such a decisive blow dealt by Method Black that even Absturge in the chat said, yeah, you shouldn't play that comp. Zico, what happened?
It didn't look too bad at some points, but I feel like
Not too good either.
It didn't look great. Maybe a different healer, maybe a Mistweaver Monk, maybe a Restorator, I don't know.
I just like the fact that they're trying something else.
Yeah, I do give them credit for that, for sure. I think the Rogue Shadow Priest, basically their win condition is do what we see a lot from the move, where they go on the healer, and they also go on one of the DPS, and then the healer has to guess who they're going to go on, and then they switch back and forth like that. In this case, it was Chaz and Raikou. I like those target choices. There was some openings onto Chaz, and there was, you know, a few scary moments for Raikou as well, but it just felt like the Shaman was the weak link, if you will.
Oh my.
Because the spirit link.
Exactly.
All right, well, I do want to say I agree with them, Rookie, 120,000%, as I usually do. When we look at Change My Mind and we see them consistently trying to find new answers, that's what's important for them for LAN. We saw a bunch of their tools that work against just about every team. They don't work against Method Black yet. They don't work against those top teams, but they're looking for an answer, and that's what they need to get ready when they are actually going to be competing on the biggest stage for a chance to actually get to the finals for the year. But let's take a look at how the rest of the tournament will play out now as we see them getting dropped on down. Method Black just going to be on an absolute tear.
Yeah, so far Method Black's been doing an excellent job. 3-0 against Enjoy BFA, 3-0 against Change My Mind, and it could potentially shape up to be another upper final between Method Black and Wildcard Gaming, depending on what goes down in the next series. And this is something we've seen consistently over and over. And it's going to be interesting for me because I want to see if Method Black has come up with an answer for what Wildcard Gaming has been beating them with. That Windwalker, Death Knight, Mistweaver composition is the one thing that they've been really struggling with so far in these tournaments, and it really feels like Wildcard Gaming has figured out Method Black, but Method Black is one of these teams that's always adapting to what other people are doing, and I think it's going to be a sort of a story of what's really going to happen at the spring finals if they can finally figure something out.